How y'all doing? I'm Paul Ryan, your host of the Across the Cowboys podcast. If you're new to the show, thank you for joining us. And to our regular listeners, welcome back. With me, as always, is my co-host, the greatest co-host in the world, Mike the Pig Crumb. Mike, how are you?
About as good as you can be, considering our team gagged an opportunity to play 2 home games and go to the NFC Championship. So, I will say this. I was not at Disneyland, so at least I didn't jinx us. Brendan Bredman Smith.
With Mike, where can we find you on X? Hat. Yeah. Where can we find you on X, Mike?
CD Piglet, guys. Nice and easy.
Of course, no episode is complete without the man solely responsible for the Cowboys wild card crumble, Mr. Brendan. I hate the Cowboys and their fan Smith. Brendan, how are you?
You know what? I'm doing just fine. I started my next semester for school today, so a little tired after that. But here we are after a brutal loss with me getting to watch it in person.
Do you think you showing up for school will jinx you and you'll get an F on all your grades like you jinxed Dallas?
That could happen, honestly. We'll see how it goes, but that could happen.
All right, Brendan, where can we find you on X so we can all block you?
So you can all block me. That's so kind. You can find me at Brendan_Smith26.
I am Paul Ryan. You can find me on X at Paul_Ryan15. Well, the Cowboys season has come to an abrupt end after an embarrassing wildcard loss at home to the Green Bay Packers. That is the third straight playoff victory for the Packers when playing the Cowboys, and with that victory, they now have more playoff wins at AT&T Stadium than the Dallas Cowboys. Aaron Jones gashed Micah Parsons in the Cowboys defense for 3 touchdowns and over 100 rushing yards. Jordan Love had a perfect passer rating in his first ever playoff start, and Mike McCarthy and Dan Quinn were outclassed by the Packers coaching staff. Mike, tell me, did we underestimate the Packers, or were the Cowboys overrated this whole time?
I think it's a little of both, of course, but I think you got to go with Cowboys overrated. I'm doing an article right now for Cowboys Wire, one that I avoided for a full day until I saw Philly lose. But it talks about how Dan Quinn, basically gets annihilated by the Shanahan coaching tree. Everybody uses that motion and the Dolphins and obviously Green Bay with LaFleur. I think if you take away the pick 6 by Prescott, they allowed 72 points in the 2 matchups to LaFleur last year and this year under Dan Quinn. They allowed like 111 in 3 games or something like that. The defense got annihilated when they faced those motions and those teams that have the Kyle Shanahan playbook. So, that, and then if we go back and look at how the offense has performed, minus the Tampa Bay game, which maybe is an outlier, but I always saw it as Niners were really good. And I didn't mind losing to them because I thought they were better teams. But you get annihilated by Green Bay like this. Green Bay, just plain and simple, is not a better team. You had 9 All-Pros on your team. I don't think they had a single All-Pro. They had no playoff experience. You had been there the last few years just under McCarthy, let alone in the Dak era. Dak had gone 2 other times, I think. And players on the offensive line had gone. A few defensive players were on that team. So, yeah, it was we probably overrated them, which we do, unfortunately, too often.
Brendan, what about you? Did we underestimate the Packers, or did we overrate the Cowboys, you think?
Well, we did underestimate the Packers, but rightfully so. We said, like, their team is less talented than ours. It is, like Mike said, 9 All-Pros. Like, are you kidding me? But I think the team itself, it felt like the Cardinals game. It's like, okay, hey, we're going to go with, like, this is honestly my favorite Mike saying is vanilla bullshit. Like, we're not going to show much. We're going to get ready for Detroit or Tampa or whoever we're going to play next week. We just got to make sure, don't want anyone to know. And it looks like it. We're doing nothing creative at all. I saw CeeDee Lamb in the backfield once. I guess you can count that as creative. But, like, nothing happened until the fourth quarter. And guess what? That was against our backups. So, like, that doesn't mean anything. So, yeah, no, we're overrated. Easy.
I mentioned that the Packers have now beat the Cowboys 3 straight times in the playoffs. And I'm curious, you look at San Francisco being some of Dak's kryptonite. Are the Packers now a team to be considered Dak kryptonite? for the Cowboys and Dak Prescott? Brendan?
I guess I would say yeah, just because they play in bigger moments against Green Bay. But Dak fought his way to try to come back in 2016, which is the last playoff appearance they've had with the Packers. And then now they just got their. I would like to see Dak with competent coaching before I say it's truly kryptonite. Dak can do as much as he can, but when everything's going, shit hits the fan, you can't really do anything about it.
Mike, what about you? Are the Packers Dak kryptonite along with the 49ers?
I don't think so, because in most of those games, the offense, at least at some point, performed. In the Green Bay games, like Dak brought them all the way back after being down 21-3. Slow starts, possibly. Even the other Green Bay game, we were up 2 touchdowns. It was play calling from Moore and the defense giving up bombs to Christian Watson that killed him last year. I think the kryptonite, if you're going to give Dak a kryptonite, it's the defense gives up something right away, and then the pressure gets on Dallas's offense to respond. You have to worry about, is this going to be one of those games or the defense doesn't show? He presses. He misses his spots on throws. He'll throw picks. I think that's more kryptonite. I think in these big games, he gets too amped up. And then if you combine that with bad defense early, it spirals. And when they spiral, it really spirals like snowball downhill, quicksand.
Yeah. Well, Dak's getting a lot of criticism for Sunday's performance, Mike. How much, if at all, has your opinion on Dak changed after this game?
It can't change too much because, okay, going into the year, what did we say? He puts together really good regular seasons. He's had his good and bad games in the playoffs. I guess one thing that could change, you could say change, is that that it's not just playing the Niners. Niners are an elite defense. They shut down Aaron Rodgers. They shut down Hurts this season. Like, they shut down great quarterbacks. It's something they've done. Now a bad Green Bay defense, and watch what the Niners do to them this weekend. Watch what Niners do to that Green Bay defense. Kind of shut him down in the first half. I don't know if it changes much. I mean, he has a trend. If teams can rush for and switch up their schemes with 7-man coverages, typically zone coverages in the back end, and the defense doesn't play well, he typically gets off to slow starts. He might have turnovers. He'll pick it up at the end. He'll at some point get things going. He'll figure shit out. But I think that's what he is, and talking about future, you got to decide, like, do you think he took another step in the regular season? Do you think he could take another step in the postseason to be that guy? And if not, what do you do, with the cap number? And it might be easier to get rid of Dak by extending him because of what the cap number is. So, we'll just have to see what happens. But it didn't change much. Maybe it took me from man, he's going up to that top tier now. He's an all-pro. So back to, he's probably 5 to 10. He's not in that top tier. That's possible, but that's what I had with him coming into the year. So I don't know overall if it changed too much.
Has your opinion on Dak changed at all, Brendan?
I think I'm going to counter preaching like mostly the same thing, but when your entire team just plays atrociously, like if Dak had a clean pocket and the wide receivers were wide open, he was just missing them or holding the ball for too long, then we're having a completely different discussion. Like, dude, you just didn't see the field. But he was Cooks in that deep ball. I called it. I was there. I told one of the guys sitting there, like, he's like, it's going to be the season. I'm like, nah, this go ball is going to Cooks. And it happened. And Cooks didn't even try. You watch the film. Cooks' arms don't even move. He's on a different connection from CeeDee Lamb. They didn't get going until the fourth quarter. Like, everybody was just off. My entire feel of the team changed. I have a lot less hope going into next year. I'm going to be a lot more pessimistic coming on the podcast in few episodes if nothing changes. But other than that, no.
What surprised you more more on Sunday? Dak's play or the defense's play, Brendan?
Oh, defense. By far. Like Dak, like I know, but Dak got going in the end. Defense couldn't stop a nosebleed, dude. At the beginning of the game, Aaron Jones wasn't going anywhere. D-Law was making great plays. Even Damone Clark was filling a gap. I'm like, oh, okay, this is different. We're not gonna. Okay, 3rd and 8. That's a 15-yard pickup. Oh, that's awesome. And it just kept going. I think the defense, they got one stop. I think it was like one punt or whatever. That's atrocious. Green Bay, all props to you, dude. Y'all played phenomenal. I don't want to discredit you, but how in the hell do you let a 7 seed do that to you? Every home team won this weekend except for Dallas. Bruh.
Yeah. Well, Mike, what about you? What surprised you more, Dak's play or the defense's play?
The lack of pass rush. Early on, they were getting the 3rd downs, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 6. They could not get to Love. Love was just sitting back there, and when you play zone, they switched from a man concept to a zone concept for this game. And when you let the quarterback sit back there, they're going to pick apart a zone. I don't care if it's their first playoff game or not, if it's Baker Mayfield, if it's Hurts right now. You let Hurts sit back there, and he's got teammates flipping him off. And if you let him sit back there, he's going to pick you apart. You can't let quarterbacks in the NFL just sit in a clean pocket. I mean, I think Parsons had 1 pressure, and we had 5 total as a team. Dallas, like the number 1 pressure team in football. Like they gave up 6 touchdowns on the first 7 drives. Like it was shockingly awful. I can't even say I'm surprised by the poor play of Dak early, but I'm not like he's done it before. Sometimes it takes him a few, like by the 3rd drive to get going. This one took him till the 4th to get going. It's like it didn't, like, that doesn't shock me. The defense having no pass rush and no answer for Green Bay was really shocking.
Yeah, do you think Dak's receiving too much blame for this loss?
No. He gave him 14 points. He's the coaching and defense definitely, if you're making a percentage or higher, but Dak definitely gets a high percentage as well. He did not. People are like, well, you tried to run the ball, this and that. I'm like, well, yeah, Dak was 1 for 7 or something with 2 picks and a pit. Like, he started off really slow. He gave up a pick in the red zone, which was mostly due to a bad route by Cooks. He didn't think the ball was coming, so he didn't fight for it. We saw that a lot last year. Dak still threw it, and it was a contested ball, and so that's at least partly as bad. And the pick 6 was all on him, and so you're talking that's 14 of their 27 first half points is from 2 interceptions. You got to give him the blame for that. So, no, he's getting his fair blame from people who are. If you're going into it looking to blame Dak, you probably give him too much blame, But if you're looking at it as like, why'd we lose? Well, the coaching had bad game plans on both sides. The defense didn't show up. Dak had a poor start and turned the ball over. Like, that is the 3 big issues. And so if you're fair, you give them part of that blame. If you're coming on going, oh, look, Dak sucked again, another, shitter by Dak, it's all him, he can't lead us to a win, then you lost me. You're too far with that.
Yeah. What about you, Brendan? Do you think Dak's getting the right amount of blame or too much blame?
Every person on this, besides like 2 players, every person on this team deserves all the flack that they're getting. Like, there's no like, oh, whip of this. Like, I don't care. The game was only in 2 scores. Okay, cool. You scored against a preseason roster by the end of it. Like, I'm so proud of you. No, everybody's getting flack for it. Dak deserves it. Mike McCarthy, Dan Quinn deserve it. Everybody, honestly, except for my guy Jake Ferguson. But that's I get tiny victories here. Tiny victories.
Mike, you mentioned the pick 6 there. This is Jordan had some interesting insight here, talking about maybe Kurt Warner thought that was bad play design. Have you had a chance to watch the film? What are your thoughts on that?
No, it absolutely was, but also Dak was fooled. I watched the tape too. I'm not Kurt Warner, but you could see that they start off in a cover 4 set. After the snap, they moved to a cover 3, And when he moves in that section, Dak doesn't see him. And it's just a bad throw right to the guy because he didn't read that it switched from a cover 4 to a cover 3. That's what happened. Now, the play design was lazy. It's something they do all the time, but they didn't try to mask it for some reason this game. They just thought they were going to walk in to a playoff game and run their plays without trying to use motion or switch up formations or anything like that. Coaching absolutely is the number one issue with this game. Both sides. Absolutely. But Dak missed the switch from cover 4 to cover 3 and threw it right to the guy for a pick 6. Like, that is Dak's fault. Play call bad. Play call all night bad. Also, Dak missed the coverage and threw a pick. So, I mean, you even the other one, like, that was more about Brandon Cooks, the first one. But it's still, Dak, look and see if your guy's going to beat him. Like, that was tight coverage. You just threw it in there. The guy wasn't running a great route, and you trust your guy. You're going to throw it. It's a lower percentage of his fault, but it's still, it was, you got to watch for that stuff. If your receiver thinks he's not open, so he's not running it full because he's like, well, you can't throw this. They got me. The corner knows this play. It's not going to work. And it's thrown anyway, you at least got to kind of go, come on, you got to look at it and see the corners there. He's on it. He's covering it.
Yeah, Brendan, we know that Dak's going to be here at least for 2024. Do you think he's going to be the starting quarterback in 2025?
I think so. He's going to get extended, even though people are like, well, it's just $8 to $60 million. He's going to get extended, and it's going to be probably one of the highest paid contracts in the NFL. And it's going to be a sticker shock. It's going to be on all over national coverage. Like, wow, he doesn't deserve this after what they did. He's going to get paid. It's what's going to happen. I don't see Dallas trying to get rid of it because unless they can tank for a top 5 pick, there's honestly no reason to get rid of Dak. Unless you absolutely fall in love with a quarterback and you want to do everything in your power to suck. He's going to be here, and that's fine.
Mike, what about you? Do you think that could be the starter in 2025?
I do. I think he's going to get extended because they're in a no-win situation, Dallas, with that number. Now, I'll play devil's advocate and I'll say, okay, let's say they want to, they're just like, they're done. Dak's not it. They're going to go to Dak and go, look, we'll give you this, 40 whatever mil, a contract he's not going to sign because it's right. So they offer him that and they go, okay, we'll just go into the year then with the 60 mil. That means probably you got to trade Tank for picks because he's got 1 year left. You try to get something for him, a third pick, maybe a third round pick. You let guys like Curse, Lewis, Gilmore, all the guys basically on 1 year deals. Tyron, you don't bring back. You're like, all right, we're just going to bring in a rookie, or we'll move Tyler Smith over and re-sign a guy like Edoga or put Bass in there, something like that. Move around Zach Martin's number, cut Gallup June 1st to get that money. Probably have to get rid of Cooks. I know he's a player option, a team option, and they've got him at a good number. But if they want to save money there and just go real young and maybe keep McCarthy and eat it for a year and then flush it out and start over, that is a possibility. But, man, that is a hard – can you imagine them selling, hey, we're bringing back the same coach, same starter, both are lame duck on 1 years, and we didn't bring really anybody back, and we got worse losing Gilmore, Tank, and all those guys. They try to make their money off of, we re-signed CeeDee Lamb, we re-signed Parsons, we re-signed Osa. They'll try to bring in like, hey, we have this core signed up for the next few years. We just need our coach quarterback. But next year, everything's going to be a hard sell unless you do something crazy like get a Bill Belichick, get a Jim Harbaugh, something like that. Everything's going to be a hard sell for next regular season.
I don't know, man. I kind of think a lot of the fan base would be happy to see McCarthy and Dak, with some pressure on them only having 1 year deals.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of them would, but a lot of people aren't going to be buying the sweaters and the hats and the visors and the jerseys going into next year, clearly looking like a team not going for it.
Yeah, true. those merchandise sales. I know the Joneses cared a lot about that. Mike, you kind of were touching on this earlier, but when it comes to percentages, defense, Dak, and coaching, put a percentage on blame for each of them.
50% on coaching. They hurt both their defense and Dak. Too many second down runs that did nothing, which was frustrating. A lot of even second and long runs, which I hate. They put here's the thing that they do. They put too much pressure on Dak to be great on third down. And during the regular season, he is. But every time we play one of the better teams, it's harder to do that. The teams are better. So it's going to be harder to come up with third and four. Even when you have a good first down play and you're 2nd and 4, and then you have a run for no gain, and you set up a 3rd and 4, you're like, well, Dak's good on third down. Let's go for it. You can't consistently put your quarterback in that situation, because what defenses know is we can fool Dak occasionally post snap by looking like we're going one way and switching it to another view, changing up a blitz look, making something look obvious and flipping it to something totally different. And if Dak's throwing a lot of first downs, a lot of second downs, he gets to see it more. Okay, this is what they're doing here. I got to look for that. But if the first drive, run, Dak gets fooled, scrambles. The next one is I think an incomplete, a short run. It's 3rd and 8, and then they run something. He can't get the first down. We have to punt it. You're already down 7-0. They get a stop and then an interception, but it's like they don't set him up to do well in these good games with their play calling. And obviously the defensive play calling was, my God. I would say the defense 30%, mainly because the pass rush wasn't there. This defense relies on its pass rush and causing turnovers. When they don't cause turnovers, they don't win games. And they're bad, real bad when they don't cause turnovers. So they would get 30, and then Dak would get 20. 14 points off turnovers. He was like 0 for 4 or 1 for 4 or something like that for 7 yards. He had a pick. Then he gets a pick 6. Like, he was bad too. So all of them deserve high credit, but that's how I would do it. 50, 30, 20.
How about you, Brendan? About right with where you have it, or?
Yeah, I was thinking about, while Mike was talking, making sure in my head, I was going to agree with. Yeah, those are the exact percentages. This game, honestly, more and more I think about it, it felt like the Arizona game. Like, we came in, okay, we're better. What's up? Like, we're just going to destroy. Dak play hero ball. Like, I, of course, watching the game. But watching Dak just run for his life, trying to analyze anything down the field because there's nothing, it's just so sad to watch. Like, you're not putting your – Dak, of course, needs to play better. Like, Mike hit it on the nose on everything. But you can't do anything if you're not set up to win. It's like legit just throwing the kid in the deep end. Nah, you don't need to know. Like, you tell him to flail his leg. You see him drown. Like, okay, cool. We'll walk away. We tried. That's basically what it was. Defense didn't do anything. Coaching set up for failure, but Dak also played atrociously. But I honestly, if what y'all have seen on Twitter, I hate the coaches. So I'm all on that stuff.
Yeah, talking about putting your player in a position to succeed. I mean, you saw what LaFleur did for Jordan Love in that offense. I mean, it's like, can you imagine what that could do with a head coach like that and a scheme like that? I mean, crazy to think about. But McCarthy, he's won 12 games 3 years in a row, so it's a weird conversation to have. But speaking of McCarthy, Brendan, is he gone? And who would be your ideal replacement for McCarthy?
Well, I'm upset because of course there's either two ways. You either go younger and it's more of a rebuild, or you go for the veteran presence. And I was going more towards younger because I'm like, what if you find the next coach? You might not. It's kind of like drafting a quarterback. You can get someone who's awesome, or like, dude, this guy's an idiot. Why did we hire him? And you get rid of him in like 2 years. But it's gonna be older, so I guess Vrabel. Vrabel's honestly the best option. Belichick his ego will hit too hard with Jerry. Jerry's gonna bring him in, thinking everything's gonna be great. He's like, oh, wow, I brought in the Hall of Famer, the best head coach of all time. And then they're going to butt heads. And then they're going to quietly, publicly talk about it. And it's just going to be a shit show. But Vrabel, you bring in a good mentality and all that for the defense. And then get me someone from the San Fran coaching tree for the offensive coordinator. You've seen how it works. Just bring me somebody for offensive coordinator from them. I don't care who. It could be the water boy. I bet he can call better plays.
Not a big fan of Brian Schottenheimer, huh?
It's more of a they'd all just go away when they get conservative. We see with the Texans, honestly, Nico Collins has played great. They have no weapons. It's C.J. Stroud and himself, and they've turned those receivers to looking like Pro Bowlers. So, like Noah Brown's had multiple 100-yard games this season. Noah Brown, the man who we saw play volleyball against the Jags, have over 100 yards multiple times. We can never do that.
He had a 200-yard game, actually, if I recall. Mike, well, what about you? McCarthy's gone. Who would be your ideal replacement?
They already said the word is out that they won't hire a first-year head coach. So my guy would be Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator from Detroit, but they're not going to hire him because he's not a first-time. They want to retread, even though it didn't work. It hasn't worked for a while, you know. They're not into going and getting innovative. Like my guy would be somebody who can be innovative in the run game. You know what I mean? Like I trust my quarterback to do enough in the pass game. I need somebody that can innovate in the run game because that's, you know, what the Joneses like to do. And we have a lot of our core on the defensive end with Micah, Diggs, Wilson's going to be here a while. Osa has another year, I think. He'll probably be re-signed though. So like a lot of our guys going forward are defensive staples, and you know I'd like to get some offensive innovation. But if they want, you know, the retread, the old head coaches, I seen Belichick's still a great defensive mind. I understand if they bring him in. I don't know what are they going to bring back. Josh McDaniels is the play caller, I guess. That doesn't excite me.
God, I hope not, dude. He's a terrible players coach, man. Players hate him. I hope he does not get here.
Yeah, and then Vrabel, you know who he's likely to bring. I mean, let's be honest about it. Arthur Smith's coming. If it's Vrabel, you're going to get Arthur Smith.
I was going to ask, how would you feel about Vrabel and Arthur Smith? I mean, Arthur Smith might not be a good head coach, and I know, you know, his play calling was suspect, but I could be kind of, I don't know. I guess I could buy into that for 1 year. I'd be intrigued enough to see it for 1 year.
If you want Schoonmaker to pop off, if you want your tight end 2 to pop off, Arthur Smith is your guy. Jalen Tolbert.
I honestly, I don't know. Maybe his quarterback was off, but like he didn't play Bijan Robinson. They drafted him in the top 10. They didn't really play him. They didn't attack with Diggs. I don't feel like he used Drake London, right? Like Drake London's a big ass dude with a lot of speed and a lot of talent. I just don't feel like. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry, Mike.
No, please.
I was going to say Arthur Smith's deal was, I feel like he just always tried to be the smartest guy in the room. You know what I mean?
And I hate that.
Yeah.
I don't
know. Nothing really excites me, but I don't see how you come back with Mike McCarthy. And you all know of this show, I'm the Mike McCarthy guy of us three. That's not true. I don't even dislike McCarthy really. Like if he came back, but I don't know how you sell that. Like,
okay, what about McCarthy, Vrabel, and Eric Bieniemy?
Why would Vrabel do that? And why would
hey, think about it. He gets to be a DC. No, just hear me out though. He gets to come be a DC, get all that prime time, all that work on prime time, build his resume, and then get another head coach opportunity.
Bieniemy's the head coach.
Already is a head coach candidate for 4 or 5 teams. Like he's gonna get a head coaching job. If he's coming here, it's to be a head coach. And Mike McCarthy's not bringing in another offensive coordinator. If he stays, he's calling the plays again. He wants to build on what him and Dak were able to do during the regular season, even though it fell apart.
All right, well, how would you feel about Vrabel and Bieniemy?
I don't love it. I just
interesting.
Bieniemy doesn't run that much, which is not a bad thing, but man, he gets his quarterback killed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't I would like Bieniemy to get in people's faces. I would like that, like an ass, but I just wish they give like a Ben Johnson or a Sloanick, a younger, innovative guy, a shot at it, but unlikely.
Another thing that we've talked about on this show with Dallas about, not having that championship mindset, wanting to see that mentality and that mindset. Brendan, how much of this loss can be blamed on Dallas not having the right mindset on Sunday?
Oh, a lot. They didn't try. Like, they didn't come to play.
Yeah.
Like I was saying earlier, it's that they're playing this. They're doing vanilla on both offense and defense. Dan Quinn, I forgot what they showed on ESPN, but like he had 60 Bs out for like 48 out of the 54 plays. Like they ran the ball or whatever, which Dan Quinn has never done all year. But you know what? The team that runs the ball the most, what we're gonna do? Put smaller guys out there. We already have smaller linebackers. Let's put another DB. Like, it's stupid. Like, they act like they were better than everybody, and you got your butt kicked at home. Like, I don't know who they're trying to fool, who they're trying to be. This game shows what coaching does for your team. You can have all the talent. We had 9 All-Pros. You're going to get your ass kicked. It happens.
Like LaFleur took it personally, man. Like, the way we were playing, he just took it too. It's like he had a chip on his shoulder heading into this week, and then the way we were playing, he like really, truly wanted to embarrass us.
I would.
You were successful.
I would.
Absolutely, yeah. Mike, what about you? How much of this loss can be blamed on mindset mentality?
Yeah, pretty much all of it. Minus DeMarcus Lawrence. Yeah. I don't know of another player that made a play in the first quarter, maybe quarter and a half minimum, where you were like, he's here to play football. Yeah. Tank did twice on the first drive, and you couldn't get to him on third down to get off the field, and eventually they drove down, scored, and it seemed like nobody else came to play until Jake Ferguson woke up and was that guy in the second half. He at least tried. He at least came to play to do all he could.
Yeah. So, talking about the defense, man, has our defense peaked with Dan Quinn, Mike?
Last year. It was better last year than it was this year. So, yeah, it peaked last year. And I think, injuries hurt it this year. Don't get me wrong. It could have probably been better if they had Diggs, LVE, and Hankins healthy all season. But, I'm not going to blame health. You went in training camp, you had 11 starters, 13 to 15 guys on offense you were going to play with. Every one of them was healthy. On defense, LVE and Diggs were the only two that were out. That's impossible in NFL season. That's unheard of. And you still got the doors blown off you. So I'm not blaming injuries. You've had 3 years in the same defense. About halfway through last year, you peaked, and then they wore down to end the year, and then it came back, and then injuries and everything. And by the end of the year, they weren't great.
What about you, Brendan? Do you think we peaked under Dan Quinn?
Oh, yeah. They do the same thing every year. To begin the year, dude, this defense is legit. Like, hey, we're here. This could be a top 5. Like, dude, this will carry us a little bit. And then they slowed down tremendously. Did they play good against Washington? Yes, but guess what? Every decent defense did. So, like, that's not like, oh, yeah, let's go. We're going into playoffs hype. Like, they played against a really awful Washington offense. And that's what it shows. And then you just do what you do, and you get blown up against better teams. It's like seeing a kid fighting like a midget. I'm sorry, a little person, and they're just fighting, and they're just beating the crap out of them. And then a normal person came up next to them, and they just got the crap beaten out of them. It's like a little train.
Don't get us kicked off the air, please, Brendan.
I know. I caught myself. I'm sorry.
You knocked us out of the playoffs already. There's no need to knock us off the air.
All right, Brendan, I have a feeling I know where you're going to go with this, but, you seem to hate majority of this coaching staff. But outside of the defensive coordinator, do we really need to make any other major changes?
Mindset. So, yeah, head coach. Like, it's the same thing. Like I said, every big game, you go conservative. Like, we complain the same. Like, McCarthy, like we've said this, McCarthy is a better head coach than Garrett. He is. I will never disagree with anybody. But it's the same complaints we had with Garrett. It's conservative play style. We're playing to not lose. If we win by 1 point, let's go. We get a safety on defense. We're praying to God we hold them to no points. And we're just like, please don't do anything. We won't do anything either. Just don't do anything to hurt us. And that's what happens. Every big game we've talked about, this offense went back to before the bye week. We were talking like, oh, McCarthy's being innovative. He's doing all this stuff like, wow, he's getting CeeDee Lamb the ball. He's finding. I watched hitch route after hitch route to trying to get the offense back in style. Like, stop. That's how we lost to San Fran, and that's how Dak threw his interception against San Fran last year, and then almost to another one when Michael Gallup just didn't try. It's just vanilla. Like, you're in the playoffs now, dude. You fought to get here. Time to pull out your best stuff to win and go to the Super Bowl. Nah, we're just gonna do whatever. We think we're better, and that's what happens.
Mike, what about you? Any major changes outside of defensive coordinator for you?
Yeah, I think the difference between Garrett and McCarthy is Garrett, every game we were like, dude, do something innovative. And McCarthy is like that in the big games. It seems like in the lesser games he shows a little bit more, but then when it comes to the big games, the starts of those games, especially vanilla. I mean, it's bad. So I would say offensive innovation is what we need, and especially in the run game. The whole run, halfback dive up the middle, like it's frustratingly old and terrible, especially when your middle doesn't move people like that. Even Zach Martin, who's elite, the best of the best, he's not a mover. He doesn't push people back, let alone having Tyler Biadasz there. So, I mean, Tyler Smith has it. He's a move guy, and he will be if he stays at guard going forward. But you need offensive innovation. You need some O-line help, and you need run game offensive innovation especially.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we've kind of touched on this a little bit, but Mike, is it a lack of discipline or great scheming and play design that gives our defense issues with these new age offenses?
It's the scheming causes the lack of discipline. The offensive coordinators know that the defense will have problems if they motion, if they make the linebackers move their eyes, if they if they use cutback lanes when Dallas was in stunts back in the day. And then they got rid of the stunts and they said, okay, we'll just bring a guy across the formation and get the linebackers worrying about which way the ball is going to go, movement. So I think it's offensive innovation causes our lack of discipline.
Brendan, anything to add to that?
I feel like I said this way early on in the podcast, like weeks ago, but I feel like the D-line, they want their own stat. Like, they're just going after the big play. They want to be the ones flexing and like popping off behind the backfield and all that, and it shows. Like, they're not filling their gaps. The linebackers are already clueless. Like, they're already lost, and then you'll see someone hitting the B gap when they should be hitting the C gap. You'll see them holding the edge when they cut inside. It's just they all want the big play, and it never happens. They all want for each other. So I'm not saying like they're all like selfish or anything, but they all want to be the person to get the big play.
Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting offseason. I mean, with all of our pending free agents and the upcoming big money contracts for Micah, CD, and Dak, are we closer to a rebuild or reloading, in your opinion, Brendan?
It all depends what you do, head coach. We're doing a veteran, so I guess I would just say reloading. But like there's some major contracts they're gonna have to come up with, and then like I love Mike speaks really well, but when he's talking about what they would do if we didn't pay Jack and let that $60 million, that hurt my soul. Talking about trading Tank, not re-sign. I would like to re-sign Jordan Lewis now. I'm sorry, I've been his biggest hater, but then he showed up. Like that's how things change throughout the year. But like it's a reload, but I feel like it's getting closer to a rebuild. If his next coach doesn't do anything the next 2 to 3 years, everybody's gonna be old now. We're gonna have the old team. Your old line's already fading. Besides Tyler Smith, I don't know what you're gonna do. I feel like it's about to be Madden in this.
Yeah, Mike, are we closer to rebuilding or reloading in your eyes?
I think they'll reload for the next 2 years. I think by the end of 2025, if they haven't seen an NFC championship or done nothing big, I think it'll start to tumble into the rebuild.
Yeah, the dark ages.
Yeah, well, Tyron's going to be gone soon. Zach's going to be gone soon. Dak would be 32 by that point and have probably a couple of years left. There'd probably be a way out of his deal by that time, and they can start, reworking stuff.
So, I know Sunday's performance, but of course, there's a bad taste in your mouth, and you feel like none of these players are really worth having around. But just for this exercise, you're looking at the Cowboys team. Outside of Dak, Lamb, Tyler Smith, Trayvon Diggs, Deron Bland, and Micah Parsons, are there any players that we can build outside of? Let's do one offensive player, one defensive player, Mike.
Well, I know who Brendan's going to say offensively.
No, you don't.
Yeah, so I'm going to go TJ Bass. He looked like a player. I think he's a starting guard or center. Putting him next to Tyler Smith could be really nice. So offensively, I'm going to go with Bass.
That's a fun answer. I
thought about saying him, but
the answer is
for some reason.
The
it's
answer
Ferguson,
is
obviously,
who
but
Brendan's going to say is the answer. Yeah. For sure is the answer. But I knew that was coming, so I was like, well, let me give some love to Bass because I think he's a starting offensive lineman. And that if you're getting a starting quality offensive lineman, I'm not saying he's an all-pro, but he's an improvement over Biadasz. He's not a weak point in your offensive line. You build with that. That's good.
And the thing about the guy that Brendan's going to say is it's not so much skill set, which of course he has, but it's mindset and mentality that you want on your team. So
even more than his talent by a mile is what he did to finish that game. Go ahead and say him, Brendan. Go for it.
It's Jake Ferguson, number 87, baby. It's not easy.
Maker?
Oh, my bad. I know. No, dude, Jake Ferguson, once we lost Witten or once Witten was getting old, I'm like, are tight ends really that valuable? I'm like, honestly, here. Then we went into the Jeff Swain era for like a year or two, and then we went to Jarwin or who the crap out of the Oklahoma State? Blake Jarwin, yeah.
Schultz, right. Jarwin.
Yeah. And so I was like, but do they really matter? I'm like, they could be a little help to. Have you seen he's moved the chains every time? It was Washington. Every catch he had was a first down. He knows when to shoot. His hurdles are phenomenal. Always get hyped and scream anytime. He knows how to high point the ball. He knows how to get in people's faces. People hit Dak. One of the first people over there is Jake Ferguson because you don't mess with him. Like Jake Ferguson will throw you on the ground. We saw what Jamal Adams done. We saw what Kevin Byard got thrown during the Philly game at Philly by Jake Ferguson. Like that mentality he has is awesome. And then he brings it. He talks the talk and walks the walk on the field. It's just beautiful.
That I just think about the Dak playing like regular season. I know what happened in the Green Bay game. They shit the bed, and it's hard to look past that to get excited. But if they were to keep Cooks, CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson, draft an offensive lineman, bring Tyron back, and be able to build up that O-line. Luke in his second year, and say what you want, he wasn't a factor in the passing game, but he was a good blocker, which you love out of a tight end too. Sucks that he was a second-round pick and not like a fourth or fifth-round pick, but that combo, Stevens coming back off of his ACL, like their offense could be really potent if they and imagine they draft a wide receiver because they know Cooks is going. So imagine they draft a wide receiver in the first or second round, like. Second round. I know first you have CeeDee Lamb. You're not going to get a first runner, but man, that offense could be nasty because Jake and Lamb are just going to be disgusting players to have to guard next year.
Absolutely. All right, Brendan, give us your defensive player that Dallas can build around.
Y'all talked about him earlier. Or something else. I like Osa. I think he really has made some really great splash plays. Has he done everything? But no, whenever Hankins is out or anything. Half the time, Osa's at the one tech, which I'm like, why? Why are we here? Why are we doing this? But he'll make some splash plays against the run game. But him as a 3-tech, he's been nasty. Of course, all the tension's going to Micah and D-Law, but he does his job good. If you give him an actual nose tackle that will stay on the field, a.k.a. let the first-round pick eat food, then like we'll be good.
Yeah, don't put that guy on a diet. Mike, I have a feeling I know who your answer is going to be, but give it to us. Who's your defensive player we can build around?
Who do you think it's going to be?
Mozzie.
Say it.
Mozzie Smith. Mozzie Smith.
It's not. It's not Mozzie.
Wow.
It is somebody from that draft class. Before the draft, I had one player that I said could end up being the best defensive player in the draft. Nobody had drafted him. This isn't Homer. This isn't any. This is, you could go back before the draft happened, and I could show you the article I did on this player. And I said, I know he's going to be a day 2 pick. I get it. But when everything's said and done in 8 years or whatever, people could look back and go, that's the best player from that draft, that defensive player, DeMarvion Overshown. And I know he's coming off an injury. I know it's probably going to take a year. The kid, he's going to be good, man. I'm telling you, he's going to be special good. He's going to be the type of good where everyone else is freaking out about getting a linebacker. And I'm like, I'll get one in 3rd to 5th round again. I'm good. I'm going with Overshown. Bell and Wilson will probably rotate in, even with the new DC at linebacker with Hooker. That'll be the 3 safety combo now. Curse is likely gone. And then you bring in a rookie and you work with him and Clark to see who plays better. I think Overshown is going to be one of those dudes. And if he gets a Belichick, I'm not saying I want Belichick, but if he gets a mind like Belichick lost 3 games this year where he didn't allow 10 points. He didn't allow 10 points and lost the 3 games. That's impossible. I promise you that will never happen if Dak Prescott is a quarterback. No matter how much we think he sucks or how bad he plays, or if the defense holds them under 10 points, Dak will beat anybody. That I will tell you. Not going to because I don't want him getting injured because I said the healthy thing. Yeah. But Overshown, that's my guy.
Well, how would you feel about this if we rolled out Overshown, Clark, and Micah as our 3 linebackers? What would your thoughts be?
I would think Mike is not really going to be a linebacker. He's going to be a designated pass rusher. And but I'm going to think that's
with the label.
That's a Belichick Vrabel defense. And I don't mind him there. Because what will happen is Overshown not as well, but can do those things. And Clark not as well as either of the other 2, but has the speed to rush too. So it gives you the ability to make a defense have to worry where the blitz is going to come from. You know, everybody's going to point towards Parsons, especially. So while everybody's shifting over there, you hit them with Overshown coming on the opposite side, you know, while everybody's sliding to Parsons. And it could be a scary 3 linebackers. I still think they need a thumper. But thumpers you can get in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round because people are worried they can't cover.
You know, could you see Wanye being a thumper linebacker?
No, Wanye, I want him to play, but the problem we have is Hooker and Wilson are signed up, and it's very unlikely the next DC does as much 3 safety work. So trying to work in Wanye Thomas and Marquise Bell is something where it might be Hooker not making the team would be the result of that. Which I could see, especially if they do the Dak thing where they only want 1 year. I could see him going, put Wanye back there or put Bell back there. We're going to go cheap. Defensive coordinator, teach the guy how to play free safety.
Interesting. What would your thoughts be? I'm seeing Micah play a little bit more linebacker. Brendan?
It all depend on what down is it and all that. Seeing him go into coverage on 3rd down against the Packers made me almost like lose it. Like I was like, why would you ever do this? But I'm all for. I saw this from Jay Tuck earlier today. I'm actually all for. Bring me a 3-4 defense with this team. Give me that. You have like y'all are saying, you'll have no idea where the blitz is coming from. I could go out in coverage. That's a normal 3-4 look. You'll never know, and it would be beautiful.
The 3-4 D line would be nice too because you would start it off with probably say Hankins, Tank, and Osa. That's a nasty 3-4 D line. And then you could pair Micah Parsons with Sam Williams on the outside. You can move Overshone over there occasionally. And then you have like Golston would be a good 3-4 defensive end. Mozzie could play nose tackle replacement for Hankins or 3-4 defensive end. And then in the middle, it helps protect your guys, your linebackers 3-4. You typically play the run better at D line because it's like a 5-man with the 3 D linemen and the 2 outside linebackers. So it'll help free up Clark and Overshone to run around and make plays. I don't hate that at all.
How would that? I mean, would that be a good compliment to our secondary with Diggs and Bland?
Yeah, because you could blitz, and if look at Diggs. What do Diggs and Bland do? They guard and they make turnovers. So, yeah, a 3-4 honestly makes a lot of sense for this defense. And the thing about it is, you play nickel most of the time anyway. So a lot of times when it gets to 3rd and 8, you're not running a 3-4 anyway. You're standing a bunch of guys up at the line with one defensive lineman, making them think who's coming, who's going, this, that. And then you got Diggs and Bland on the outside. Now, the question is, do you bring back Lewis or what do you do at nickel? That's still the question mark at that point.
Yeah. All right. So as of today, right now, heading into the offseason, Brendan, what is Dallas's biggest need?
It's head coach. I need a philosophy change. We've 12-5 is great regular season, but if the same thing keeps happening in the postseason, besides beating the brakes off Tampa, that was a phenomenal win. I will give all the credit, but everything in big games have happened. Like I've been preaching that all podcasts. I need change. You can't keep rolling in. Mike said it a lot. Who's gonna buy into that? I'm not.
Mike, how about you? Heading into the offseason, what is Dallas' biggest need?
Offensive line. I need better offensive line play. Even if that means Steele's better after a year, and they go out and improve the center position, and that's that still would be amazing.
Yeah. All right, here we are with your reviews from the sidelines, Mike. It's going to be a 4-parter here. Let's start off with number 1. Greg Olson mentioned that the Packers defense would show one look pre-snap and switch to something different post-snap. How common is that, and is that something that they have done all season?
It's very common when you play Dak. When the better teams play Dak, they do that often. It's not something Green Bay did a lot, but they knew like this is what we're going to try to do against Dak. It is common for a lot of teams do that. Belichick will do that. Raheem Morris will do that. Leslie Frazier, who I think's gone now, but he was somebody that did that a lot. So Brian Flores will do that often. So yeah, it's something that happens quite a bit now. It's a newer thing, but it happens to Dak a lot. It's one of his, I'm not going to say weak at it, but if you're going to get him, that's one of the things is fooling him post snap.
So, I mean, that's one thing that Dak still needs to show improvement with is kind of reading those defenses?
Yeah. Sometimes he'll get locked in on what he thinks he sees pre-snap because he's so great pre-snap. But he'll get locked into that and miss that it changes because he's looking, okay, it's this is where I'm going to go. Then it's the pick 6. It's a cover 4. I can go right here underneath, easy play. They switched to cover 3 and the safety ran right into it.
Yeah, so earlier you talked a little bit about why the defense couldn't get any pressure on Love, so we'll move on from that. But number 3 here, was it McCarthy's offensive game plan or Green Bay's defense that led to the offense's poor performance?
Game plan for sure. Just too many run early, run pass. Dak has to scramble. Second down runs. The second down runs were worthless. They were pointless. They were awful all game. So yeah, that the issue was the play calling for sure.
All right, number 4 here. This was I found interesting, but Jane Slater mentioned that a player expressed concern that Dak panics when his first read isn't there. During your evaluations this season, would you say Dak is a one-read quarterback?
That's one of the listen. I'm not y'all should know from me. I'm the guy that got killed because I had Hurts above Dak to start the year. Dak was my 7th highest quarterback. I don't blow smoke up their ass about Dak. I don't care if they don't re-sign Dak. I love him as a player. I hope we win a Super Bowl. But at this point, I can't go into it and go, oh, yeah, no, you got to keep him this and that. He was all pro. He's the 3rd best when going past their first read. He's the 3rd best quarterback statistically in the league. They have stats for this. He's great after – he's not average or okay or deep. He's great to elite after his first read. He's great at it. There's a reason he doesn't get too mobile. He knows he can sit. Boom, boom, boom. He's awesome at his – Michael Gallup had 6 catches for 100-something yards. Do you think Michael Gallup was the first read ever on any play, ever, the whole game? No, he wasn't. It was, and that's why she got killed for it, because you could say a lot. He gets off to bad starts. He gets too amped and doesn't make precise throws as well early in games. Throws interceptions when he's fooled by Reed's post snap. All true. To say he's a one, that's. I'm not killing this kid. He was all pro last year. He was awesome. Jalen Hurts a one read quarterback. You literally tell him his read before hey, if they're lined up like this is your throw. The reason the throw was to AJ Brown, that one play, and the guy was wide open over the middle, is because the coaches told him, if this is the look we get, we throw it up. AJ Brown gets a chance one-on-one. Maybe we get a pass interference. Sirianni literally said that. We're looking to get a pass interference penalty. So that's a one-read quarterback. He's also young. I expect him to get better at second reads in different offenses where you're asked to do that more. It's not that I don't think he could do that. For people thinking I'm hating on him, the kid's been awesome. He's gotten better. He got worse this year, but that could be due to injury. Like, I don't want to shit on Hurts, but he's a one-read quarterback now because that's kind of what the offense asks you to do. Dak is he wasn't a one-read quarterback early. They taught him, hey, you can't run. Garrett and Linehan were like, we have a great offensive line. Sit here and go through your reads. And that's why he was so good going through reads as a rookie year. And that's why they gave him no receivers the second year, is they were like, well, this guy's just going to go through his reads and find the open guy. Yeah, but none of your receivers got open. And they had to go out and get Amari Cooper. He's always been and give credit to Linehan and Garrett for this thing. They told him, your offensive line's great. Work on your reads. That's what you need to do in your rookie year. And he was great on it. He was great at third downs. That's why he won Rookie of the Year. And he's always been great on third downs making reads past the first read. Third best this year. So that was dumb. I don't know who said it, but they don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah, I didn't understand that either because, there's several games where Dak's had a receiver, 6, 7, 8 different receivers catch a ball, and you're like, man, that's just, that's not unheard of, but not a lot of quarterbacks are doing that. So that was one thing I didn't understand, like where that came from. I imagine that was just a player expressing frustration, or I don't know. Jane Slater doesn't strike me as somebody who just makes things up or says things and says my source, said this, but I don't know. I found that strange.
I think what the player meant to say is sometimes Dak will see something pre-snap and stick with it, even if the post-snap shows something else. Yeah. And I think they mistook that with he's a one-read quarterback. I think it was somebody that didn't, like, probably a defensive player that was like, he sees one read and then he's just going to go to it no matter what, even if it's changed up. And he thought that meant a one-read quarterback, but it really wasn't what he meant.
I got you. All right, here we are with Brendan's bashing. Brendan, which player, coach, coordinator is getting sent to the Dallas Renegades, sir?
All right, well, I haven't talked enough of McCarthy. I really have. So I'm done on that one. I got nothing. But Dan Quinn deserves so much blame for this game. He truly does. Okay, of course, I know Dak threw a pick 6. I know that's added points. Dallas has never given up 48 points at home in a playoff game ever in franchise history. And you let that happen to a 7 seed. Like I said, the Packers played great. LaFleur called it an awesome game. Jordan Love played almost one of the perfect playoff games, honestly, you'll watch. I hate saying that, makes me want to throw up, but it happens. You scheme terribly. Your entire defense. I saw Stephon Gilmore get beat by a tight end. I get it, bigger bodies, you can wall off people. That's a former defensive player of the year getting beat up by a backup tight end. Like, what are we doing here? We talked about it earlier. No pass rush. Micah got held sometimes. Like, I was able to say, like, he legit got held in the back. But other than that, nothing. I can't say, like, Micah was over here trying his best. No. He talks more on his podcast than he did trying to play the game Sunday, man. Like, I love Micah. He's a beast, all-pro, everything. But it was awful. Deron Bland was getting beat left and right. Your safeties didn't know where to go. Your linebackers were lost. Besides, like, the first couple of plays on the first drive, they were gone. It was so funny to watch. It was like I'm laughing through the pain, but like it was just so sad. But guess what? When your entire defense or entire side of the ball shits the bed, it's the coach's fault. And that lines up with Dan Quinn. Everybody's talking about. I've said he's a mastermind, and I've eaten my words, and it's come back to bite me so hard. In biggest games, your defense chokes like they have all year and previous years.
Yeah. All right. True or false? The Packers coaching staff called a perfect game against the Cowboys, Mike.
False. It wasn't perfect, but it kicked our ass. They had mistakes in there, but we couldn't do anything. So it
Brendan, true or false?
I say it's true. Like, of course, everything was perfect, but for what Dallas was giving them, okay, cool, we know what to do, and they ran with it. That's the biggest thing.
Absolutely, true for me as well. All right, one word, Brendan. The Green Bay Packers having more playoff wins at AT&T Stadium is blank.
Embarrassing. Like, dude, you're a home team. You don't even play Packers every time. We've lost to San Fran. The Packers have more playoff wins than us.
Crazy, man. Mike, how about you?
Unsurprising. Just because they had the better coach with McCarthy before and Aaron Rodgers, the better QB. So, I mean, it's just, I guess that we haven't gotten more versus other teams, but I'm not surprised they beat us more than we beat them there because Rodgers, McCarthy. This is the first one where I was like, damn, that's crazy. That's shocking.
My word is fitting, man. Just when you think about how long you've been a Cowboys fans, all the collapses, all just the embarrassing losses, all the heartbreaks, it seems fitting, man, as a Cowboys fan for this to be a stat, for this to be a thing. It's just really, I mean, this is like your Cowboys history right here for sure.
That's fair.
It was when we beat Brady, it felt like that, like, all right, we beat Brady, now we get Green Bay this year. Nope.
Yeah. All right, top 5. As we're heading into the offseason, guys, things we're most looking forward to during the offseason. Mike, give us number 5.
The offseason podcast. Paul always puts together good guests. We do draft stuff. We do fixing the Cowboys with who you want to bring back and get rid of and all that stuff. So it's always fun to come on and see other Cowboys fans from Twitter that we talk to and everything come on and give us their ideas and Cowboys beef where they get pissed. Like, Cowboys beef's going to be hot this off season. So yeah, I'm excited for that.
Brendan, how about you? Number 5 on your list.
I didn't even think about that because, of course, I didn't join in until midsummer. But that's awesome. I'm now more pumped for that. I didn't even think about that. That's awesome. But I just went simple for my first one. Started baseball season. I'm, of course, a Rangers fan, so I got to ride the high. But also, I really want to go to opening day just to see the banner come down.
Oh, so you're going to lose opening day then?
That's fine. I just want to see the banner. I don't care. It's over 100-game season.
Right. Over 162 games. Okay, number 5 on my list. Mike, I guess maybe you took a peek at the show sheet here, but the pod's off-season guest-focused content is number 5 on my list as well.
Look at that.
That's always fun, man. It's exciting times. Definitely look forward to that, dude. The guests are always great. Love the conversations. Love the different subject matter and everything. So I'm really excited for that this year.
I didn't see your top 5 because I had a totally different I didn't even
No,
know.
yeah, I know.
I got the subject wrong.
Yeah, I'm just messing around. Number 4 on my list, not being stressed about the Cowboys and fantasy football. That's one thing, man, I'm looking forward to as the offseason approaches. It's, getting that little mental break, not having to worry about your lineups, not having to worry about the Cowboys going to win this game and this, all that, and then trying to figure out stuff to talk about on the pod and everything. Just having that peace of mind is something I'm looking forward to.
Yep.
Brendan, number 4 for you.
I had to put this because, like, if y'all can tell my anger, I put McCarthy being fired. You will see me celebrating on Twitter.
Wow, dancing on the man's grave.
He got paid millions of dollars. He's been here forever in the NFL. I'm sorry.
No worries. Mike, number 4 on your list.
McCarthy got his Super Bowl in year 5 with Green Bay.
Hey, I like that, man.
Cooking new dishes. So a lot of times with me working the last almost 3 years, it's been hard to get home and have something innovative because it normally takes me a while. I'm pretty beat up. I'm on disability. My legs are all jacked up. So it's hard to get home and prep. And even on a day off, you don't want to waste it, doing stuff. But now that I don't have stuff every day, I can take the time, like, even if it takes 2-3 days, like I'm making seafood risotto. I did a seafood stock one day. And so now, and then I'll make the risotto. I'll make the whatever seafood is going to go with it. I'll have time to prep all the stuff to do that another day. And then finally cook it the third day. I have time to do more innovative cooking. So I'm excited to do that. Use my sous vide. That's a great one.
There you go. All right. Excuse me. Mike, number 3 on your list.
Going and watching Denny play tennis. It's surprising how he made varsity in his first year and he had never played a match. He just got lessons. He had been taking lessons for years, but it was just one-on-one lessons. So he never actually played a game with someone. And he came in and he just murdered everyone on junior varsity. He made the varsity team by the end. They ended up winning the championship for their area and everything. So I'm excited to go back out there and watch him play. He's a good tennis player. I used to play tennis when I was younger than he was. So it's cool to see him enjoying that and doing good at that.
Oh, very cool. All right, Brendan, number 3 on your list.
That's awesome. I'm sorry, but that's really, really awesome.
You get beat.
Mine is like football consumes me. It does, and I do love it. But being able to think about what you can do to make the team better, I said draft/free agency. And my mind goes haywire. It's thinking like, oh, if we could sign this person, that'll fill that gap. If we draft this person, we'll fill this. And so who can get in the later rounds? Maybe make a spark. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I like that one. Number 3 on my list. Watching the Mavericks and the Texas Rangers, man, I'm excited for that. Finally get to, dedicate the time to watching Kyrie and Luka, and I can't wait to see the Rangers, man. Come back after they're winning their first ever World Series. It's going to be a good season.
I hate the Lakers right now, so I can't even get excited about that.
Lakers and Mavs are playing, I think, tomorrow night, I believe.
Enjoy that win. You'll probably be about 18-point victory. That's about what we lose by nowadays.
Ouch, man. All right, number 2 on my list. This is something so addicting. Like you can't just do one. I mean, there have been times I've done 3 in a day. There were times like I believe after the 2020 season, I was doing like 2 sometimes a day, religiously. Mock drafting for the Cowboys. God, I love it, man. Love it. I don't really want to think about the Cowboys right now, but mock drafting, kind of reading about prospects and trying to learn about them that way is always fun for me, and trying to build the Cowboys is fun. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to. Brendan, what about you? Number 2 on your list.
It's going on my vacation with my family. We're going to the Caymans in June. It'll be chill, just to be able to relax. And also, it just sounds so stress free, which sounds phenomenal right now. But everything will be done. That'll just be great.
Sounds amazing, sir. All right, Mike, number 2 on your list.
Number 2 on my list, you guys have both talked about football off season. So mock drafting. I scout for Cowboys Wire, so look out for that. People that watch, there'll be players coming. But I'm going to scout for that. I'm going to look at free agents that are available that we won't pay for, how they'd fit, who we should bring back, who we should let go, all that fun stuff. And then, of course, accumulating it, the exclamation point is the actual draft. So, yeah, the football off season always gets me excited.
Yes, sir. All right, here we are, number one. Mike, number one on your list.
If y'all don't know my number one,
Disneyland.
Yes, food and wine. The food and wine trip is March 1st through March 5th. I'll be there the first day, so I'll buy whatever merch I want to get because they'll have all the stuff even in my size. I'll spend too much money. I'll eat a bunch of food from the food booths, and it's going to be pretty awesome. So, yeah, number one, of course, is my food and wine Disneyland trip.
Nice. All right, Brendan, number one on your list.
My 21st birthday. That's what I'm really, really pumped about.
That'll be cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Brendan's going to have alcohol for the first time.
First time ever, baby.
First
time ever.
Wine coolers and Zimas, baby. Let's do this. All right, number one on my list. Having a 3-day weekend from April to August. I work at a college and the cafeteria pizza guy. And every summer we have Fridays off. So I'll have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. So I'm looking forward to those 3-day weekends, man, like for a couple of months. That's exciting.
That's going to be awesome.
The podcast is coming to an end. We start seeing his lap.
Yes, sir.
Every time. I have to, get going. Unfortunately, I know I seen on the phone there's something going on, so I'm like, God dang it.
All right, well, Buck, we'll get you out of here. I enjoyed the discussion, man. This definitely helped ease the pain of that Cowboys loss. But before we get you out of here, where can we find you on X?
Letter C, letter D, Piglet guys, nice and easy.
Brendan, where can we block you?
You can block me at Brendan_Smith26.
Guys, I'm Paul Ryan. You can find me on X at Paul_Ryan15. We appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you guys next week.
You can